Welcome, live stream viewers. Paula Shaw here. You are backstage at Change It Up Radio, and we are just getting ready to record our show with Brady Silverwood. Say hello, Brady.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Brady Silverwood. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And Brady ran across the United States and raised over $40,000 for charity. Many of you will remember Carson Caldwell, who rode his bike across the United States barefoot to also raise money to help the starving children in Yemen. So we've got another 24-year-old wonder for you today. So stick around because we're going to be learning a lot from Brady Silverwood today. He's an amazing guy. I promise you that. All right, so we are just about ready to start this show.
Tired of the rut you're stuck in, but don't know what to do?
Change it up. Join life transitions therapist, speaker, and best-selling author Paula Shaw. She'll be exploring topics that make change and the challenge it presents smoother and more productive. She'll also be spotlighting change makers who are leading the charge to make the world a better place. If you're ready to live a more exciting life, at home, in the workplace, and around the world, it's time to step out of your comfort zone and change it up. Now, here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Welcome to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. I am so delighted you're joining me today because I have a very special guest, and I'll be telling you a little bit about him in just a moment. But welcome to Change It Up Radio. As you know, we're a show that's about change. So we like to spotlight change makers who are making the world a better place. And we also like to bring you information to help you cope with change more smoothly and productively. So if you'd like to know more about this show, please go to changeitupradio.com. That's changeitupradio.com. You can hear past shows on that website. You can get information about being a sponsor or a guest on this show, all at changeitupradio.com. Many of you know I am an author. I have written 3 books, Chakras, the Magnificent 7, Grief, When Will This Pain Ever End? And my latest book, Saying the Right Thing When You Don't Know What to Say. I'm also a life transitions coach. I have a private practice, and I work with people who are dealing with change because, as we all know, humans have a love-hate relationship with change. We need it. We need it to grow and to keep life interesting, but we hate the discomfort of it. So in my private practice, I help people oftentimes using mind-body tools and the tools of energy psychology, which can work much more quickly than just talk therapy. We can shift limiting beliefs, we can change behaviors and clear traumas by using these amazing tools from energy psychology and mind-body techniques. The other thing I also want to remind you is I am also a speaker. And if any of you are looking for a speaker for an event, for a conference, for a group, you can get information on getting a hold of me to speak at your event at paulashawspeaks.com. All righty. I want to talk today. I'm calling this show Conscious Commitment, Creating Change, because all of the things we're going to be talking about today began with conscious commitment. So let's take that apart a little bit and look at what it really is. You know, first of all, my guest today, Brady Silverwood, is a young man that ran across the United States. On his feet, ran across the United States. I know many of you who are followers of this show will remember Carson Caldwell, who rode a bike barefoot across the United States to raise money for charity. But Brady ran. And he didn't just run because he didn't have anything else to do or because it sounded cool. Brady ran to heal himself, really, and along the way, he raised money to help other people. He has a fascinating story, and we have much to learn from him. And we're going to be talking to Brady in just a little bit. But I'm looking at what motivated him, what made what he did actually possible. And I have to think it began with a conscious commitment. Now, whether that commitment was to doing it and completing it and being successful at it, or whether that commitment was to himself, to prove something to himself or heal something within himself. Whatever motivated Brady, and we will be learning about that very shortly, he had to have a deep level of commitment in order to do it. I mean, when you really think about it, nothing on the planet happens without a conscious commitment to doing it first. Think about some of the amazing things that have been done over time. I mean, if we go way back, who knows what level of commitment it took to build the pyramids or the Colosseum in Rome? But here in America, what about the railroad that crossed the country? What about the Golden Gate Bridge? I got to tell you, I still do not understand how we build a bridge across deep water like that. I don't. I'm going to Google it one day and find out. What about the Suez Canal? How do you dig through an ocean and create a passageway so that boats can cross land? It had to begin with a very, very high level of conscious commitment. Think about the people who started the whole movement of equality for women and freeing the slaves. There are some amazing things that have been accomplished on this planet, and they began with this conscious commitment. So I have some questions I want to run by you and a little experience I'd like you to have with me before we bring Brady on. So I'd like you to just close your eyes and think about something that you have created in your life. And obviously, it doesn't have to be a bridge or a railroad or something like that, but something you've created in your life. And that could be a condition like a really happy family. It could be something you've created through your work. Maybe you wrote a song or created a screenplay or a book. Whatever it is, think about that thing that you created in your life. And now ask yourself, was there a commitment to that creation? Did they say, oh, you got to be kidding, that's impossible? Or did they say, cool, you can do it? How did that go down in your experience? Were there moments in the whole carrying out of this creation that you felt defeated and it was hard to go on? What did you do when that happened? How did you handle it? And now I want to give you a little example from my own life with these questions. And one of the creations I thought about was writing my most recent book, Saying the Right Thing When You Don't Know What to Say. So was there a commitment about it? Absolutely. Because for years as a therapist and working as a life transitions coach with people going through change, too many times somebody who went through something difficult would say to me, nobody came over, nobody called, nobody brought it up. And when that happens to somebody, they feel very, very abandoned and alone. And I got tired of hearing people say that because I knew why nobody showed up, because they didn't know what to say and they didn't want to make it worse and they didn't know how to handle it. So I said, I'm going to write a little book that's going to tell people how to do that so they can have a comfort level that will let them now show up when somebody they love needs them. Did the people in my life support me or discourage me? Well, I'm very fortunate to have very supportive people in my life who said, great idea, go do it. There were some people who said things like, oh God, write another book. I don't think I could ever do that. And I got to tell you, it takes a high level of commitment to write a book because you have to sit yourself down every day, pretty much every day, at that computer for hours. And I don't know about the rest of you, but my inner child does not think it's great fun to just sit at the computer. She would much rather be going to the gym or taking a walk in a garden or working in her own garden or doing something active. So for me, it was a commitment. Were there moments when I felt defeated and thought it was too hard to go on? Absolutely. The moments when you go, I don't know what else to say. Does what I'm saying even matter? Will anybody care? Will anybody read this book? All those things go through your head, and you think about all the time you're putting into it. But you do it and you keep doing it because of that commitment, because of what drove you to do it in the first place. So, what I would do when I felt defeated was I'd give myself a break. I would go do one of those things I mentioned to you that I really love doing. And then I would look at my book and I would schedule time for the next day to come back and sit in front of my computer and continue writing that book. Because here's a little secret I'll tell any of you who are thinking about writing a book. From the moment you begin until the day you finish, that book haunts you. You cannot go away for the weekend without thinking about that book and that maybe you should be writing. You can't think about stopping because that book, I guarantee you, will haunt you if you're really committed to it. If you had the right commitment in the first place, you're done for until the day you type the words, the end. And that is a great day, let me tell you. So in my next segment, I'm very excited because Brady Silverwood, who I mentioned ran across the United States, ran thousands of miles, over 3,311 miles. I'm going to ask him those same questions to start our interview. So don't go away because in just a few minutes, we will be talking to Brady Silverwood, a 24-year-old young man who ran across the United States and raised over $40,000 for charity. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
Paula Shaw here. I'm so delighted to share with you that LifeWave has become our newest sponsor on Change It Up Radio. My family and I all use their tiny wearable patch technology, and the results are life-changing. My sister had lupus for over 20 years and has never slept well. Now she does. My mom's frozen shoulders simply went away. My favorite is the age-reversing X39, a patch engineered to activate stem cells. Yeah, it's true. They really work to improve how you look, feel, perform, and heal. LifeWave patches use a patented form of phototherapy, using frequencies of light to safely boost health and wellness at the cellular level with no drugs. Learn more online by visiting lifewave.com. That's lifewave.com.
Hi, I'm Kelly Klein of One Trust Home Loans, Loan Coach Kelly. A while back, my business was in a slump, and it triggered a lot of self-doubt and fear, and it even had me questioning if I'd made the right career choice. So I booked a session with Paula Shaw, and after hearing my predicament, she explained that when we get into negative, self-sabotaging thinking, and we're being run over by our limiting beliefs, it's almost impossible to create positive outcomes. She helped me clear those destructive thoughts and beliefs using her cutting-edge energy psychology techniques. Not only did I feel a whole lot better after the session, but within 2 weeks, I had 7 loans in my pipeline. I was so glad that I went to see Paula Shaw, and you should too. It really changed my perspective on life, business, and now my business is going great. You can reach her at 626-864-0756. That's 626-864-0756. 626-864-0756. Or check her out at paulashaw.com. That's paulashaw.com.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Welcome back to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. And I am so excited to introduce to you Brady Silverwood, who is in studio with me. And as I just mentioned, but for any of you who are just joining us, Brady Silverwood is a 24-year-old young man who ran across the United States over 3,311 miles across the United States for several reasons. I'm going to let him tell us about that, but he also, along the way, raised over $40,000 for charity. So many of you, I'm sure, remember Carson Caldwell, who rode his bike across the United States, raising money for the starving children in Yemen. And I never thought there were going to be two 24-year-olds who had that kind of heart and that kind of physical ability, and yet here he is. Here's number 2, Brady Silverwood. Welcome, Brady.
Yeah, thank you, Paula. This is an amazing opportunity to, I guess, share my story with your following, and hopefully we can help some other people get through some struggles with this. So.
I look forward to that happening, and I know it will. So I promised them that I would ask you the same questions I just asked them, talking about this idea of conscious commitment creating change. So obviously, the thing that you did that took conscious commitment was running across the United States. What was your commitment to doing that? Why did you do it?
So I was at a low place in my life before starting this run. I was going through a lot of depression, and it was really hard to find motivation. Self-confidence was not there, and I knew I was in a funk and I had to get out of it. And around this time, I found a run club in LA. And
a run club? That's a bunch of people that gather and go running together?
Yeah, pretty much. They just meet outside this coffee shop in LA. And you get to see them every Saturday. They do it, and you can run 3, 4, or 5 miles. And I was not a runner, but my roommate dragged me out of bed one morning to go. And
God bless him, huh?
Yeah, but really running started to give me back my confidence, and it became something that I could work at and get better, and kind of just feel better about myself. And once all that happened, it was like, all right, this is one good thing that I have in my life, and I really just focused in on it and started to challenge myself more and more. And then when I had the idea of doing this big run, it was, to not only prove to myself that I was capable of something so great and grand and big, but also to almost prove to other people out there that were at a position that I was at in my life, that they can get out of it, and that they can achieve something that they never dreamt of doing. So,
I know so often when people are dealing with depression, moving is sort of like the last thing they want to do. Was it hard getting yourself to show up and actually do that running?
That's actually, like, you hit it on the nail, at least in my experience. The mornings were the toughest, just getting out of bed, and I would just, wake up and then look at my alarm, look out the window, and just go back to sleep. That was the last thing I wanted to do, was get up, start moving, get on with my day. So, those first few days of showing up for running were really hard, and honestly, the community around me really helped in me getting there. Like, the founder of the run club, his name's Luke Gledhill, and he got my phone number, and he would text me every week, I hope to see you on Saturday.
Wow.
And at first, I would, give him lame excuses to why I couldn't come, like I was sick or slept in or whatnot. But finally, I realized, I was not only letting him down, but even more importantly, I was letting myself down.
Yes.
I knew it was a good thing for me, but I wasn't doing that. And I think
Mm-hmm.
so many of us know what's good for us in our life, and for whatever reason, we choose not to do it. So
Exactly. And it's hard,
it's very
right?
hard.
You know,
Very
so
hard.
the easy things are always easy to do.
Yeah.
But you're right. So often, even when we know what's good for us, we choose an alternative path. And that alternative path may be even worse for
Mhm.
us. I mean, you know, like not even okay, but really worse.
Yeah.
And especially in your situation, I think so many people who end up just sitting in the darkness, and I'm not just talking about the light, but in their own darkness in their life, they get stuck there. And I also am really struck by how important it is, because earlier I was talking a little bit about my book, Saying the Right Thing, you know, when you don't know what to say, and how important it is to show up for somebody who's in need. And that guy, Glenn, did you say his name was?
Luke.
Luke.
Yeah.
Luke, sending that text every week changed your life.
Yeah. And the coolest thing about it is he didn't know what I was going through. And he's
Yeah.
actually dealt with some depression in his life too. So
Wow.
we've just connected in just a beautiful way. But that's it. That's it. You know, and I now that I've been through that, whenever my friends are trying to achieve something like
Mm-hmm.
a half marathon or starting a company or whatever it is, I'm
Mm-hmm.
there for them, because I know how hard those things are to do, and I
Oh,
know how much courage it takes to set goals like that and
that's right.
follow through with it. So
Yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. So in your own life, were your inner circle people, your family, your friends, were they encouraging to do this, or were they discouraging?
so they were encouraging. They were definitely very surprised by me choosing to do something
I'll
like
bet.
this.
The guy
Um,
who didn't want to get out of bed.
yeah. So it was a pretty quick progression there, but I'd say for the most part supportive. My dad did try to kind of talk me out of it at first.
Did he?
So for him, it was more so he didn't understand that it started as a personal thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he thought I was trying to maybe prove something to him or something
Oh,
along those lines.
I
But
see.
um, it to be honest, I just told myself, I was like, this is for me to overcome kind of what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna help other people by documenting it, and hopefully I can inspire other people out there.
Wow.
And so
So you had that consciousness about it even before you began.
even before, in the first month, I didn't tell anyone that I
Mm-hmm.
was doing this. I just kind of let myself have the time to almost, get that confidence, like you can accomplish this.
Mm-hmm.
And once I let in all the extra feedback and shared that I was going to do this, I had to just remember to myself that, you know, that I'm in charge of this.
Yes.
No one can run across America for you. You have to do it.
That's right.
You're the one that has to get up every morning and
Mm-hmm.
put on the shoes and get out there and run.
Mm-hmm.
So, um,
You know,
yeah,
I love what you just said, that you took that quiet time. You did the inner work before you announced this to anybody that you were going to do it. Because a little later in the show, I'm going to be talking about my experiences at Donovan State Prison. And what I'm seeing is making the difference for those men too, is doing the inner work. It's sort of like you can't create anything in the outer world until you've done that inner work. So I love it that you shared that you did that inner work before you decided to go forward. So were there moments when you were, I mean, I can't even imagine how hard it is to get up every day. You know, what time of year was it? Let's talk about that for a minute.
so I started in May, so pretty much getting into summertime.
So you ran through some hot places, I'm sure.
Yeah. I was running through like West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, where it would be 90 degrees for like an entire run,
Oh,
and feeling like 100 with the
the
humidity out there.
humidity. Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, it was wild.
So in those moments, you must have thought, why am I doing this? I don't have to finish it. You know, what am I going to do? Why?
Yeah, there was a week. So once I got to Nashville, Tennessee, I actually had some friends come out and visit me out there.
Ah,
and that was wonderful. And my spirits were so high because it was exciting for me. I'd never ran over 1,000 miles in my life. I'd never done any of this before.
Right.
So
You'd only been running like a year, right?
yeah, I really picked up running this past year. So when I got there, it was funny because I remember some of the people asking me, "Has there been a time where like you didn't know if you could complete this or
Keep
question
going.
why you're doing it?" And I really was sincerely feeling like, no, like it's been exciting, And then I remember it was almost like that came back to bite me because a week later I got sick and I was running for a full
Oh.
week with a cold.
Oh,
And one of those
no.
days I remember I woke up and I'm like blowing my nose and I'm just feeling not good whatsoever. And yeah, I think I posted a video like, I wish I was just at the beach today and like, just
Amen.
laying down and not running.
Yes.
So
Why did I create this Frankenstein? Huh?
yeah, there was plenty of those days, but I would just tell myself, get your clothes on, get on the mat, start stretching, and you can think about all these excuses while you're on the run. So
Yeah.
once I would get out and actually be running a few
that's
miles, I
very
would
smart.
tell myself, oh, like we're already out here, we're doing it. Let's just keep going. It's almost over. So
Oh my gosh. Well, we have to take a little break in a minute, but when we come back, I want to know more about what it was like when you were out there and what kept you going and helped you complete your mission, so to speak.
awesome.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
We will be right back with Brady Silverwood.
We'll be right back with more Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
If you could rebuild your health on a solid foundation, would you do it? Do you have health issues that doctors just can't get to the bottom of, and all they do is prescribe pills to lessen your symptoms? Would you like a better way? Certified FDN practitioner Desiree Lawn founded Autoimmune Health Freedom because she struggled with health issues from childhood that could not be explained. Today, she lives a vibrant life, free of aches and pains and full of energy to enjoy activities with her family. The life you would like to live. How did she do it? Autoimmune Health Freedom has the tools you need. For a free discovery session, call 858-248-1657 or go to autoimmunehealthfreedom.com. That's autoimmunehealthfreedom.com. Yes, you can feel better again. You can rebuild your health. You can have the life you want. Call 858-248-1657.
Desiree Lawn is not licensed by the state of California as a healing arts practitioner.
Is living in today's fast-paced world making you feel stressed and out of balance? Are anxiety, sleeplessness, depression, lack of focus, or weight gain robbing you of your relationship and your energy? If you're ready for change, you need to call Paula Shaw. Paula helps you identify and eliminate self-sabotaging thinking and behavior. Using a wide variety of mind-body techniques, she provides her clients with the most effective processes for their specific needs. To book a session with Paula, call 858-480-9234. That's 858-480-9234.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Welcome back to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. And I am in studio with Brady Silverwood, a 24-year-old young man who ran across the United States to heal his depression and his lack of confidence, and also to raise money for charities. And he raised over $40,000. So, Brady, if you missed the last segment, go back and listen to this show because Brady is amazing and he's very inspirational and very honest. I love that about you, Brady, that you're not, you got to the other end. We know you made it. And you could have skipped the part of the story where you started because you were having a hard time getting out of bed because your depression was so bad and you had no confidence. But instead, now you're bringing that part of the story forward to inspire other people. I really love that. And I think it makes it more helpful to people because so often when somebody just looks like a hero who did something great and who has it all, people who are depressed or who are discouraged or who are going through hard times feel like, oh, well, I could never be like that. So I really love that part of your message. Um, you raised money for different charities. What how did you pick a charity, or who did you start with and you were raising money with?
So I started raising money for National Alliance on Mental Illness, just right in line with the things I was going through. And I've had, some unfortunate people in my life that, or instances in my life where people took their life, just suicide. And it was something that I just knew hands down I wanted to run for. And I started choosing a couple more that were close to home: Make-A-Wish, St. Jude's,
Nice.
Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And for cystic fibrosis, one of my friends, Liam Hearn, San Diego native, he was born with cystic fibrosis, and all the doctors only gave him 2 years of life. They said, you're not going to live past 2 years. And I think he lived to be like 25 years old. So he was just the most positive and wouldn't complain about anything he was ever going through. So I really wanted to run for cystic fibrosis. Hopefully that they could, raise more money to find a cure. And
so that was part of what motivated you, were these causes that you felt strongly about.
Yeah. So I ended up running for 12 in total. And yeah, they were just all charities that, no one told me, hey, can you run for this? I just was like, oh, I love what this organization's doing to help people or the world. And yeah, just kind of chose them that way.
So how did people donate? How did this money get collected?
So there was my Instagram account. At the time, it was called Brady Runs America. I've changed it now to just my name, Brady M. Silverwood. But I would have a link in my kind of bio there, and then the followers could go click that link, and it would take them to this page where they could donate.
Oh, beautiful. So you kept everybody posted through Instagram as you were running?
Yes. That was
Great
the number one, I guess, platform where I would communicate with everyone back and forth. Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So, you know what, Brady, when I first heard you speak, I was really impacted by not only what you did, but kind of what you learned along the way. And you just mentioned in the last segment that when any of your friends are starting something new or setting a big goal, you're very supportive because you know how tough that can be. So share with us some of the things you learned along the way, because you've shared that you had those tough moments, that you had days when it was really hard to keep going. And by the way, how many days did you run?
218. So 218 days from start to finish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a huge, and you ran every day except for, I think you said a couple of days you were not feeling well and you took a little rest.
There was a few days where, like for instance, when I was in Arkansas, I really injured my Achilles tendon on my left leg, and I tried, the next day to run, but it was like a limp run, and I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe I could walk. So I walked, I think, 18 miles, and then the day after that, my right leg started to hurt because I was overcompensating, and then I had to literally just sit in the RV for 2 days, rest, ice, all that, and then was able to come out of it. So there was a couple days for injury, I think maybe 4 or 5 for injury, and then maybe 2 days for just checking out a city, because some of the places I chose to run through were places I wanted to see that I'd never been before.
Yeah, you have to have some fun along the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So what did you learn? I know there were some things you shared when I first heard you speak.
Oh man, so the biggest thing that I've taken away is, and I've applied after the run to my daily life, is showing up. I think we all know what's good for us, and sometimes we don't always do it, but just show up on the days that you don't feel it and you don't want to do it. Just show up. It doesn't matter what the result is, how many reps at the gym you get in, or how many pages you write. Just write a word. Just do one rep, you know?
Yes.
So I think a lot of the time we let our feelings dictate if we're going to do something or not. And what I learned out on the run is, you know, action could be done when I was not feeling it. And it's so easy on the days that we are just feeling so motivated and great to go do these things.
Right.
But it's actually the days that you don't want to do it that are more important, because those are the hard days.
Yes.
And I noticed those are the days that really test your character and build your character.
And must have been really helpful in building your confidence, because you made this commitment, and by God, you kept it. You did it. You did
Yeah.
something really remarkable that very few people have ever done.
Yeah, and like I even had a friend in LA before all this that, you know, he almost put it in my head that I was starting all these things and not finishing them. And I entered 2019 ironically like my biggest fear was that I wouldn't be able to start something and finish it for like the rest of my life.
Oh,
As like
wow.
wild as that sounds, and then to do what I did on the level that I did it, it was just like, all right, you can put that fear aside now, you know?
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now? What are you going to do with this experience you've had?
So again, going into this, I didn't know how much I was going to learn. I didn't know how many people I was going to inspire through this. And now I feel like it's a calling to speak at you know, organizations or conferences or, you know, schools. I'm actually going to a couple elementary schools around the neighborhood to speak to some
good.
young kids soon. And
Great.
anyways, I think that I think it would be selfish if I didn't share the things that I've learned through this process, and I think I can help a lot of people in that.
Oh, yes.
And so I'm also writing a book soon. It's going to be called The Long Run.
I love that title. That's
and
great.
yeah, because I mean, it's kind of like, it was literally a long run, but it's also kind of to speak on the long run of life. And you know, we're always trying to, I guess, like finish first, or you know, we look at life as if it's just a short little game, but life is really a marathon. And it's, you know, there's tough days, kind of. So I'm hoping that this book can help a lot of people, and also going to be starting a podcast where people like me can share their stories as well, so we can really empower people out there.
Oh, I love that. Good. I'll come to you. We'll trade some guests and stuff.
Yes, sounds
'Cause
great.
they're inspiring people, inspire people.
Yeah,
And it can be so helpful to people to actually see someone like you that started from a place where you were kind of in a hole. And not only did you climb out of that hole, then you went and did something pretty amazing. Though I find it, to look at you today and experience you today, no one would ever believe that you had this time of depression and no confidence. And all of that transformed through this experience that you gave yourself, huh?
yeah, and you know, I've had some talks about it with my family, and I like really strongly believe if I didn't go through those things, then there's no way I would have accomplished something like this. So it's almost like the obstacle. There's a book I read, The Obstacle is the Way, and it's kind of true. Like, we don't like the obstacle, like you were talking about change. We don't like change, but change progresses us forward and moves us forward. So,
You know
yeah,
that.
it's like if you can get out of it and learn
Yeah.
the lessons and just keep going, and you know, just remember that you got through that thing. That's another lesson I learned out there, is a lot of us, for whatever reason, our brain tries to like, pretend like, oh, this challenge, because it's so new and we've never faced it before. It's way scarier than the other challenges we've overcame. So
Yeah.
just to remind yourself as you're going through something that you've gotten to this point, you're still here, and that you've made it through these other obstacles can give you courage to take on that new
Absolutely.
obstacle.
And every day is part of the journey. And what I love about the long run is that it's basically saying the journey is life. It's
Hmm.
not winning at the end, or it's not what happens at the end. It's what happens along the way. And it looks to me like along the way, you transformed yourself and you learned things that a lot of people will benefit from. And Brady, I am so grateful that you came on my show today so my listeners can benefit from all that you've done. Thank
Well,
you so
thank
much.
you for
Oh, how do we reach
letting.
you or how do people follow you if they want to learn more?
So I'm on Facebook, Brady Silverwood, Instagram as well, Brady Silverwood, and then if you want to send me an email, it's Brady Silverwood, the number 8. It's my favorite number at gmail.com. And
Perfect. All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And Brady's information will be in the show notes as well. All right. And we will be right back after this word.
We'll be right back with more Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
Jack Gutman survived World War II and then returned home to the hardest fight of his life with PTSD and alcoholism. Now at age 93, he's a businessman and comedian, sharing his message of recovery and hope in his new book, One Veteran's Journey to Heal the Wounds of War, helping our heroes and anyone who has experienced PTSD find happiness again. Get Jack Gutman's new book, One Veteran's Journey to Heal the Wounds of War, at Amazon.com. Or to order a signed copy, call 714-525-4954.
For those looking to improve their lives, there's nobody better to turn to than Paula Shaw. Paula helps people regain successful lives by identifying and eliminating self-sabotaging behavior using a multitude of mind-body techniques to identify and resolve their core issues. Working with a wide variety of healing modalities, she provides her clients with the most effective process for their specific needs. To book a session with Paula, call 858-480-9234. That's 858-480-9234.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. I've just had an amazing experience with Brady Silverwood. If you missed the last 2 segments, please go back and listen to this show because he shared some amazing information with us and some amazing insights that he gained along the way. We're calling this show today Commitment to Change, or I'm sorry, we're calling it Conscious Commitment to Change. And Brady shared with us some of the tough moments that he went through running across America, over 3,000 miles, and what it took to keep going. And we were looking at this, one of the factors we looked at that I want to talk a little bit about in this segment is this idea of doing the inner work. Because many of you may know from listening to past shows that I've had 2 women on this show who really have changed my life. One was Mariette Formeau, who is doing a program at Donovan State Prison called Brilliance Inside and creating TEDx events at the prison. And Brahman Kiri, who does a program at Donovan State Prison called Freedom from the Inside. Both of these women realized that you cannot create true change. You cannot truly rehabilitate somebody if you give them back the same experience they've already had. They are both creating environments where men in the prison can do the inner work to help themselves truly change what's happening in their outer world. And since the year began, I have committed to going to the prison every Tuesday to work with Mariette's program, Brilliance Inside. And I have to share with you that I am having some of the most amazing experiences. Um, the other day when I was there, one of the men who didn't talk much, who rarely shared, who had no confidence, who I'm going to call him Joe. I'm making that up to protect his identity. But the first time I went, this was actually my third time with this group the other day. The first time I went, he rarely spoke, very small, short answers, had been dealing with some very, very obviously difficult situations. Well, at the end of that first day, he had opened up and shared in a small group, and it blew me away, his story. And I was actually sharing this with Brady on the phone last night. If I met these men anywhere other than this place where I am actually encountering them at Donovan State Prison, I would say they were some of the most intelligent, lovely, wise, incredible men I'd ever met. And I realized, I think this has just really been impactful for me because I've seen what's possible when programs like Mariette's and Brahman Kiri's are happening so that these men have a chance. Because one of the things I learned the other day, this same man who barely spoke the first time I was there, the second time I was there, as we were leaving, he shared that he was going to be sharing his story at a group a couple of nights later, a group in the prison. And of course, we wished him well and told him we'd be thinking about him and cheering for him. And when I went in on Tuesday, he brought his talk with him, with pictures of everybody. It was just the most amazing thing. And he stood up in front of our group and he did it again. He did the presentation. And I have to say, it so impacted me because as a small child, his father would come home drunk and on drugs and abuse his mother almost every night, and then also abuse the children. And so he was so filled with anger and frustration and a sense of hopelessness because he couldn't defend his mother. He couldn't save his brothers and sisters. And so this anger just began to grow in him. So rarely do we get to hear the backstory of what we would label in our society a criminal. But when I realized here was this child who was abused over and over again, who went through such frustration and angst because he couldn't save his mother. And then, interestingly enough, he did what so many of us do in this kind of situation. He found drugs and alcohol at 13, and he started using them. And that was a lot of what led down his path of destruction because he was in bad environments. He eventually began selling drugs to get the money to have his drugs. And when he got big enough, and this is a big guy, he started whacking his dad around. His dad, who by that point in time had gotten older and was still using, so he wasn't very strong or powerful. So it was such a sad story because the destruction of his father's life, who, oh, by the way, he later learned his father was beaten up all the time by his father. So we have that old line, the sins of the fathers, right? And this is what happens to people in our society. They're born innocent, they're born happy, joyous, and free, but then the world they live in imprints them. And how they respond to that has a lot of different factors, at heart, but so often they're going to respond, even though it was his father's drugs and alcohol that created his miserable experience. He started walking the same path and eventually got himself into trouble. In a moment of rage, he killed somebody when he was very young. This is part of what has really struck me with these guys. Many of them are going to be in that prison their whole life for something they did at 18 or 24. when they were drinking or using or in a rage. And it's so awful. But what really struck me with this man was I said to him, how did it change? Because he's clearly this loving, sensitive, caring, kind being now. His whole world is about trying to help the men around him be of service and to be kind and to be loving to people. And he actually had a near-death experience that he shared with me that totally transformed his life. And when he came back to life, he just knew he did not want what he had had anymore. He did not want to live that kind of hell. And the only way he could do it, as you shared a little while ago, Brady, was to do what's hard, to do the thing that was not going to be the easy thing to do, but to commit to it. And in committing to it, he totally transformed his life as well.
Wow.
So when you were sharing that, I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is a completely different kind of example.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter where we are in our human condition. If we're somewhere that doesn't feel good, or where we feel hopeless or helpless or angry, we can do things that we would never think we could do. But we could also turn it around.
Wow.
Right?
That's just an inspiring story, because I'm thinking of kind of the facts that you just said, that he's going to be punished for this thing he did when he was younger for the rest of his life.
Yes.
And he knows that, but he's still turning around his life.
I love it that you said that, because that was one of the things I shared with the guys in the prison the other day that blows me away every time, because we began our session talking about peace. What is peace, and what does that mean in your life? That was the question, and we all kind of shared on what we felt about peace. But one of the things that I said to them was, what blows me away is many of you are looking at this place as where you will be for the rest of your life, and yet I know that the peace you say you feel, you really feel. I see it.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you picked up on. That's so true.
Yeah, because you could just accept it and accept the anger and the just, I guess, fear of just always being there.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like they're really trying to make the most of it. And
yes.
And that, I mean, that's an inspiring, very inspiring perspective.
Totally. And that's why I think Brahman Kiri named her program Freedom from the Inside, because how we feel inside really dictates how we perceive the outside. And Mariette Formeau named her program Brilliance Inside, because every one of these men has brilliance inside. Oh, Brady, I'm so glad you were here today, and I wish we had another segment we could talk some more, but you'll have to come back.
Yes,
Please, we'll have to do this again. Yeah. So I'd like to thank everybody who's with us today. It was a stunning show, in my opinion. We had an amazing being right here in the studio, and I thank you, Brady. I thank you all. Remember that you can hear us on AM 1170 and FM 96.1 on Sunday evenings at 9. We're on every major podcast platform, including iHeart and Blog Talk Radio. And you can hear all our shows, even since this began, on changeitupradio.com. And by the way, if you like this show, subscribe to it. It'll pop up on your phone every week. And we'd love it if you give us reviews. So until next week, thank you all for being with us, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Change It Up with life transitions expert, speaker, and best-selling author, Paula Shaw. Join the Change It Up movement with Paula Shaw as we explore topics that inspire, welcome change, and create a new kind of conversation. To learn more about Paula, how to be a guest on the show, and sponsorship opportunities, visit changeitupradio.com. Whether you're feeling happy, sad, mad, or glad, it never hurts to change it up.
We can say goodbye. Facebook live stream viewers, thank you for being with us. What did you think of this amazing guy, Brady? Say a little something to them.
Oh man, hope you guys enjoyed. Um, it's honestly just from the heart. It's everything that has been real in my life, and I really like I said, I don't think if I went through those things that I would have been able to accomplish all this. So if you are going through some really hard things right now, just know that there could be a greater lesson that you can learn through this, and if you can get through it, then you can move on and be stronger from it. So keep going.
And may I urge everybody, share this show. Please share it with everybody you know on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever you can, because we don't know where that person is who's sad or depressed right now, whose life could be changed by what they heard today. So please share the show. All right, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks for being with us. Bye-bye.